Hello and welcome to this first part of the series called The Fear of the Lord is His Treasure. I will be, over the coming episodes, exploring what the Bible has to say about the fear of the Lord. To start off with, I want to make clear that the fear of the Lord does not mean we should be afraid of God. I know that our word fear is loaded with so many negative things in our society, but unfortunately we have no better word in our language to apply to this concept. So please bear with me as I go through what this fear is and is not. Now I'd better just explain this interesting picture. It's an artist's impression of the episode when the tabernacle was being commissioned in the time of Moses. Nadab and Abihu, two of the sons of Aaron the high priest, were incinerated by fire from heaven because they burnt the wrong type of fire. The red X indicates this is not what I mean by the fear of God. What this picture is illustrating is the wrath of God, which for Christians is not something to live in fear of, assuming, of course, that we have a right faith in the full work of Jesus, his crucifixion, his resurrection, and his ascension to heaven. Now, another thing I want to make clear is that we should not change our thinking to make the fear of the Lord the most important aspect of our faith. This subject needs to be balanced with all the other ways we should interact with God. It is just one facet of our faith that needs to be in balance and harmony with all the other facets. Now, throughout this series, I'm going to be using the phrases the fear of God and the fear of the Lord interchangeably. They both mean exactly the same thing. Also, what I've got here is based on Derek Prince's teaching called The Lord's Treasure, which you can find on YouTube, though I have expanded the subject in various areas. A few years ago, while reading the Bible, I became struck by the phrase, the fear of God, mainly through Jesus' statement in Matthew 10:28. And do not fear those who kill the body, but are not able to kill the soul, but rather fear him who can destroy both soul and body in hell. During the following couple of months, I then came across many references throughout the Bible to the fear of God, and I became aware that I'd never ever heard anyone preaching or teaching on this matter. So that kicked off for me an amazing adventure in the Bible. What does the fear of God really mean? I've heard preachers say in passing that the fear of God just means awe and reverence. But what I found was that just didn't seem to apply to many Bible verses, including the Matthew 10:28 we just looked at. So I started to have doubts about this simplistic view. After all, if awe and reverence were all there is to the fear of God, why do Bible translators use the word fear? Now, going back a few years, when I was a kid, my mum and dad were of a type where we really didn't want to find out what would happen if we were too naughty. I have absolutely no doubt that they loved all of us, and they certainly provided for all our needs. But none of us wanted to experience their wrath and subsequent punishments, so we generally behaved ourselves. This is kind of how I see the fear of God. We know he is love. We know that he provides for our every need, but I don't want to go upsetting him too much or too often. Now, what I've found is an amazing aspect of faith that has so many implications, so many benefits, and so many of God's promises dependent upon it. Also, long after I embarked on this journey, I attended a prayer day in London when one of the speakers referred to prophecies, stating that the next move of God would, amongst other things, be characterized by a fear of the Lord. Since then, I have found various such prophecies, so I do consider this teaching to be timely. Now, this probably isn't one of the best known bits of the Bible. Isaiah chapter 33, verse 6. Wisdom and knowledge will be the stability of your times, and the strength of salvation. The fear of the Lord is his treasure. And it's those last 8 words I want to concentrate on. The fear of the Lord is his treasure. Now, I don't know about you, but to me, treasure is a good thing. It's not something horrible or something that's going to be bad for me. It is something that is of great value. And this then prompts a couple of questions. Who wouldn't want God's treasure? And to whom would you give your treasure? Would you give it to someone you don't know? Would you give it to an enemy? Would you give it to a close friend or a family member? Now, as a Christian, you are to God both a friend and a family member. So I put it to you that God does indeed want you to receive his treasure. So that concludes the introduction. Now I want to start looking at the Bible to see what we are told regarding the validity of the fear of the Lord today. Psalm 19 verse 9. The fear of the Lord is clean, enduring forever. Get that? Enduring forever. Proverbs 23:17. Do not let your heart envy sinners, but be in the fear of the Lord all the day long. All day means every second of every minute of every hour, and I believe every day. In other words, there is no expiry date on the fear of God. It was relevant yesterday, it is relevant today, and it will still be relevant tomorrow. So that concludes the first part of this series, The Fear of the Lord is His Treasure. Thank you for watching.